All right, I got the kids to bed a little bit ago, and or at least I think I did. You never really fully know. We might get a visitor if it's one of those nights. If you know, you know. But I wanted to share with you guys tonight something that I've been doing recently, sort of a nightly habit that I've recommitted to that's really been helping me in my card journey here. So wanted to share it in case it's helpful for you at all, just perspective and some tactical tips here for something that's really working. But what I've realized lately is I've kind of fallen behind my normal pace for my grading orders. And we're in this kind of weird environment where PSA's got their cheapest levels closed off for the short term here with crazy demand. It's like fun because the market is in a great place, but the demand, forcing them to close, like it really does throw a wrench into the whole process for those of us that do card grading regularly here. So one of the things that's always helped me is submitting a grading order consistently, at least one per month. I've done this for many years now, and it's something that's really helped. I would almost attribute a lot of, a ton of my growth, let's just say it that way, to this one habit of just staying consistent because grading gives us this predictable timeline. Sometimes the timeline's longer than other times, of course, but we know going into a grading order roughly when we're going to get this stuff back. And just with being so busy lately, it's summertime. We've got four young kids. My wife and I do the best we can, but it's always a circus. I work from home, so it's always a circus. And so just I'm sure you can relate. Like kids, job, activities, summer going on. Like there's always something that sort of gets in the way of progress if we let it in the card world. The thing about this market is it's voluntary, right? Like we don't have to do it. There's no one forcing us to do this. But if you want to build something meaningful, like something that really pays you and that is fun and like turns into something great, we've got to stay consistent with the inputs. And it's one of those things that I've personally just had a little bit of struggle with the last few weeks, the last couple months, really. I get to the point where I'm sending off my grading order and I'm like, this is okay. And it's just like, it's fine, but it's not where I want it to be. And so one of the things that I have, am looking forward to right now is that I've got some good inventory from things that I've done over the past few months. I've got a bunch of like Caleb Williams cards that are up a ton since February, March timeframe when I started buying him for the seasonal kind of swing play, as I like to call it. I did get a grading order back the other day with, had a nice Otani in here, got a PSA 10 on one of his update rookies. It's like $700. I think I paid 150, one and a quarter raw, something like that. So even at the $80 level, it's still a really nice win, almost $500 of profit there built into that card. Also a little bit of Pokemon here with this Psyduck. This card, it was like a $80 card raw when I bought it. They're selling for like 500 as PSA 10s, kind of just a fun card. I don't know. I'm not really huge on Pokemon stuff. My kids are into it. I know it a little bit from back in the day, but have done a decent amount of grading with Pokemon stuff just because the numbers are nice. So, but anyway, I'm looking at my grading return. I had some other cards in this order, of course, too, but it's a solid return. It's not quite where I want it to be. And the kind of realization that I had was, man, I put all this work in and I'm getting paid for it now for things that I did a few months ago. And if I don't keep putting in the inputs, like if I'm not getting my grading orders to where they need to be, I'm just not going to have the outputs that I want. I'm not going to be making the profits that I want a few months from now. So future me is going to be pissed that I didn't like do what I didn't uphold my own end of the bargain here. So that's sort of the thing that I'm recommitting to is, just looking at my grading operation and saying, okay, what do I need to do to actually move forward today? And you can't like completely solve all problems in one day. Like it's unrealistic to think that I'm going to go out and just hammer out buying 100 cards in a day or something like that. The good news is we don't need to. And so what I've been doing is just finding these little windows here and there, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, once the kids are down. I just did this, and before I turn on this video to, I don't know, hopefully try to help you guys just walking through what I'm doing. But it just like, if we don't put in the time, that future pipeline does dry up. And so I hate having gaps or bubbles in my business. And so I've recommitted to doing the work up front to make sure that I don't have one of those gaps where I'm not getting a grading order back. And so the thing that I'm holding myself to is I want to just buy one single card every single day. Every single day, just one card that I think has strong grading metrics, one of the cards that would still fit my normal criteria, not just some nonsense card just to check the box. Like I'm still trying to make a meaningful difference. I'm trying to move my business forward a little bit at a time. And so tonight I ended up finding two of them. So what I did is I went into Coin here and I pulled up the Pokemon list, and I'll show you why in just a second. But I bought, let me show you. So I went down and found this Mew card, this 2021 VMAX Mew card. I really like this one because it's cheap. And so I picked up a couple of these tonight for about 20 bucks each. But, the average raw price over the past few weeks here is only $16 per card, but they're selling for $250 to $300 as PSA 10s. Looks like one went a little bit lower for the most recent sale, but these have been pretty consistent in the $200 to $250 range, with a few outliers that are kind of on the even higher side than that. And so what I like about this specific card is there's strong upside. Even at the $80 level, this is like $100, $150 of net profit that you're creating with every single PSA 10. And I've had a lot of luck. So I'll show you. These are just not from tonight, obviously, but over the past few weeks. Let me see, I don't know how many of these there are, but these are all ones that I've bought that are gradable. And they haven't all been gradable. I've got a pile of them that I'm going to move on from raw without grading that had little things that I couldn't see in the internet pictures on eBay and stuff. But I think that when you look at, you just kind of zero in on a card like this where you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars or anything like this, but you can create some pretty meaningful margin. That's a pretty cool thing when it doesn't take that long. So again, it took me 20 minutes to find two copies that I thought looked pretty well centered. There's lots of these too. They're not particularly rare. But if you think about like the hourly rate here and overall efficiency and how do we just like make the most of our time that we do have to put into this, if it's $100 per card of net profit, every time you buy, and you buy two cards in 20 minutes, that's what, like $600 per hour if you kind of extrapolate that amount of time. And of course, there's like, the time that PSA's got to be graded and you've got to ship the order out, which takes a few minutes and that sort of thing. But you get the point, right? It's like a pretty reasonable amount of time to put in for a very large hourly rate. And even if only one of those two cards comes in gradable, fine. All right, I'm making $300 per hour, right? Like that's my hourly rate if I'm making $100 every 20 minutes. So imagine if you're in your business and you're saying, all right, how do I get to the next level? And I want to build this side hustle up. I want to make more money. Well, just think about like, okay, what actions can you take today to move the needle? Last night I bought a Roman Anthony Bowman Chrome, like the 2026 Bowman Auto Redemption card. And the reason why I the reason why I bought that card is because when you look at some of the other players from that same set, they seem to be grading pretty well so far. They seem to be pretty clean across the board. And so my hope is that even though sight unseen, we don't necessarily know what the card's going to look like, my hope is that that's going to give me a pretty good chance at getting a card that's, $400, $500 ungraded and turn it into a PSA 10 that's worth $1,500, $2,000 or so. And I really like his upside. He's been out hurt, kind of had a mediocre start to the season, but a lot of his advanced metrics are really strong too. If you look at like Baseball Savant has some really good data. So I like his upside. I like that he's still a top tier name, top tier prospect when he comes back. Like nothing's changed. He's just hurt. And so kind of out of sight and out of mind. So that's another play that I've made recently. I've got a couple of those too that are redeemed and waiting to see what the cards look like when they come in from Topps. But, every day, again, it's just like one card here, two cards there. They don't have to all be those, $400 or $500 Roman Anthony cards. They can be $20 Mew cards to just get graded and keep advancing your business little by little. And it really just got me thinking, like back in the day, I used to have all the time in the world. I started this when I was in college. I played a couple of sports at a small school and was always on buses. We didn't have a big budget, so I was just bussing all over the place. And it was like in the early days of internet on a Greyhound bus. So the internet was atrocious. Like you could hardly get signal to, I couldn't get an eBay page to load hardly. It would take like 30 seconds when you clicked into a thing for it to actually pull up the listings. Just, not very efficient in that regard. But when you have multiple hours of a trip, it's like, all right, cool. I can just sit here and hammer out a few find some cards and, maybe make a few purchases or at least add stuff to my watch list. And I had this nice little system. And, the older I got, the less time I seemed to have, right? Like back then, I was just some idiot kid that had no real responsibilities other than getting to class and getting to practice. And that was it, right? So cards were kind of what I did otherwise. But now it's like, man, I've got a business, I've got a family, young kids, tons of responsibilities, people relying on me. And I never actually got to the point where I had more time, right? Like, I think that the older we get, just the busier things tend to get. Maybe if you're close to retirement age, I suppose you can make the counter argument there that you're about to get less busy, or if your kids are going off to college or something, or certainly if you don't have kids, use the time wisely. You're never going to have more time than you do right now. But the thing that's cool about cards is we get to build the business around our lives. We don't have to build our lives around cards. And that's always resonated with me. That's always what attracted me to cards, because back then even though I describe it as having a lot of time on a bus, I didn't have time for a job because I was a two-sport athlete going to school and couldn't actually make money another way. I just didn't have time for it. So that was one of the things that I found appealing was I could do this on my own schedule and use my skills to create money rather than to, just be a slave to a job forever and constantly trading my hours for dollars or however you want to say it. Like, I just wanted to be able to go faster. And that's one of the kind of unique things about cards is you get to use your skills. You get to do it anytime you want. I could theoretically stay up all night and sacrifice tomorrow and just pull an all-nighter and go find even more cards. The thing is, I don't even think that that's necessary. So when you think about everyone is busy, right? Like we just have to find a small way to move our business forward every single day. Like, can you do that? And it doesn't have to be a million cards at once. It doesn't have to be changing the world all in a day. Can you list some cards for sale? Get some stuff out there. Can you ship off that grading order? Can you go find a card to buy to get graded that fits your criteria that's going to help you move closer to your goals? Like whatever it is for you, just think about, can you do this in a 15, 20-minute block? Can you find half an hour after your kids are in bed or on your lunch break or something where you can just carve out a little bit of time and just do something that's going to move your business forward? It's the consistent inputs that ultimately create consistent outputs here. And if we don't do them, that's when we have those like the bubbles that we're trying to avoid, where we have these dry spells where there's nothing to sell and it feels like, man, I'm so card rich right now, but I'm cash poor because I don't have anything that I can actually sell. Even if I look at all my inventory and like, I've got great cards, just nothing's kind of fully matured yet. There's no margin in anything yet, or I'm not ready to move on from anything yet. So that's where I like grading, because it lets us create these margins on our own schedule, but we've got to put in the work. And look, this isn't just a one-off lucky find. Like, this is the result of a system that I built for people just like me who have families and kids and jobs and, are busy lives. And you want to get more out of every minute that you put into your card business. I get it. That's where I'm at too. And so if you want to learn the actual system that I use to spot deals like the ones that I just showed you tonight, that's what I teach every single day in my sports card investing community. If you want to take a look, you can see what it's all about. I'll leave a link in the description, but find that one thing that's going to help you move your business forward, whether it's a big thing, a small thing. Just find a way to take at least a baby step forward today. I promise you, those tiny little actions, they compound over time, and there's some magic when you stay consistent for a long period of time. So guys, hope this helps. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.